Hello and welcome. This is Tiffany Barron back with you again for Lesson 4, Sense of Urgency. We are now at the point where we want to pick up some speed. And when you pick up speed, there is some risk involved, but that is what makes it so much better. With this lesson, we are going to learn how to originate and complete multiple projects over a short period of time. And we are going to do it in a calm, confident manner. You see, when you combine those two, when you combine a sense of urgency with a calmness of mind, you will be amazed at how much you can really accomplish. So listen closely as Bob Proctor explains how and why to develop a sense of urgency.
This seems to be the stumbling block. Fear. If you're going to operate with a sense of urgency, as Tiffany just said, there is a very good chance of risk. In fact, I don't know how you could operate without it. Where there's risk, there's fear. And where there's fear, most people back away. We've literally been programmed to do that. Superachievers do a tremendous amount of work in a minimum period of time. The crazy part about this is you can multiply your results and yet do less work. If a person hasn't got a good grasp on what we're talking about here, in this program, Create Your Own Economy, they wouldn't be able to see that. Price Pritchett tells the story of the fly trying to go through the window pane. And it kills itself, and it dies there on the windowsill. And he points out, just 10 feet away, the door's open, and the freedom in the outside world it seeks is there. But it doesn't go to the door. It feels if it just tries a little harder, it'll get through the glass. Well, we know what happens to the fly. Well, people are much like a fly. In fact, most believe if they just tried a little harder, that it would work. The truth is, trying harder doesn't work. What we've got to do is step back and look at what we're doing from a totally different perspective. Now, the superachievers do a tremendous amount of work, and they do it in a minimum period of time. They have long lists of projects which they complete daily. Goal-achieving projects, in other words, work that counts. These people aren't just busy for the sake of being busy. They're effective because they have a tremendous sense of urgency with respect to matters which need to get done. They're also great risk takers. No one could ever accuse them of playing it safe. They take tremendous risks that may be calculated as risks, but they still keep going. I read a book one time called The Young Millionaires. First of all, you had to earn $1 million to be in the book. And this was a long time ago. But most of them had earned many millions. And in the afterword of the book, it pointed out that every one of these people, on every major move, everything they owned was riding on it. And they never considered themselves taking a risk. Risk is a relative term. When you understand the power of your mind, when you understand the great truths that these great religious leaders and great philosophers have passed down through the years, when you really understand that and then you relate to it and you understand the law, you know you're taking risks but you don't consider them risks because you understand the hidden power that no one can see. There's power in this room. There's an enormous power in this room, and it's invisible to the naked eye. You cannot see it. If we sealed this room up, airtight, put a pipe into it and started to pump more air in it, you wouldn't see the air coming in. But if you didn't let any out, you'd blow the room up. There's power in what you can't see. Well, there's power in yourself, and you can't see it, but you can become aware of it. A sense of urgency is a wonderful thing to have. It's getting a lot done in a short period of time and doing it in a very calm, confident manner. The people that I know that have had a tremendous sense of urgency, every one of them has really impressed me. They never look like they're doing much. But yet, if you get at 5,000 feet and look at it, they're doing a lot. I think that's what we got to do. We got to get at 5,000 feet and look at what we're doing. I was flying over Kentucky, and I looked down, and the houses looked like there was a Monopoly game. These little, tiny houses. And I thought, how insignificant they looked from up where I was. I don't know how high I was up, 15, 25,000 feet, I don't know. And I looked down, and I thought, man, it looks so small, almost so insignificant from up here. And to think that people scrounge and scrap and work hard all their life so they say they can own one of those little things down there. When the truth is they never own anything. Then they're afraid of losing it. How could you lose something you never owned? You merely are distributors. You just use things while you're here. And then I thought of a poem that Don Blanding wrote called The God's Eye View. He wrote it from a plane, and I thought, this is sort of the God's eye view. Then I thought of a Persian proverb about a bug in a rug. And as the story goes, this little bug is crawling through this rug, and these great big tufts of wool, and it's trying to get through, find a crumb, I guess, to survive. And every time it got past one tuft, they get hit with another one. These tufts of wool were big problems to the little bug in the rug as he's looking for a crumb. I thought, if the bug could get up above the rug and have a God's eye view, it would start to see that what it considers to be its problems were actually part of a beautiful pattern. But he's not able to do that. He's just down there, whack, another tuft of wool. Well, many people live like a bug in a rug. And yet we're capable of having the God's eye view. Yet if we could get up above and look down at what we're doing, we'd see we've got phenomenal opportunities. Then make up our mind we're going to get a lot done, we're going to do it real fast, and we're going to do it in a calm, confident manner. The mentors I've had live like that. And I never wanted to copy any of them. In Emerson's essay on self-reliance, he says something really beautiful. When we should be self-reliant, but in it he said there will come a time in every person's educar, their unfoldment, when they'll realize that envy is ignorance and imitation suicide. To look at somebody else and envy them, yes, to say, I don't know, I've got the same mental faculties as them, I'm working with the same power, so I'm going to envy them. Then he said imitation suicide. You can never be like anybody else. You're unique, and so are they. And you shouldn't want to be. But that doesn't mean we don't want to emulate others. We want to pick the great quality of some of these people and say, I'm going to incorporate that into my personality. That's a habit that I've formed. When I see someone doing something and I really admire the effectiveness and the efficiency and the calm, confident manner that they operate with, I think I'm going to live like that. It's part of building your own persona, building your own image. And you've got to see yourself as a very confident risk taker that has a sense of urgency, that gets a lot done in a short period of time. I've taken this to ridiculous degrees. When I was a young boy, there was a kid down the street, Donnie Miller. And his dad had had a heart attack. Now, hardly any kids had a dad. They were all over in Europe shooting at each other at that time. And the fact that he had one, it was an oddity in our neighborhood because they were all in the service. And I guess the doctor told him to walk. Now, I was just a kid, but this stuck in my mind. And I'd watch him. He'd be all dressed up, shirt, suit, tie, and you'd see him walking in such a confident, slow, easy manner. And you know, the way he walked stuck in my head. When I started to build an image of myself, I looked at all kinds of things, from the way people dressed, how they meet and greet people, to the way Donnie Miller's dad walked. And I made up my mind, that's how I'm going to walk. I don't need to rush. I can go at warp speed in a very calm, confident manner. I take these people and I look at them and I see that they have a sense of urgency, and then I see that they're great risk takers. But if you wired them to a polygraph and really sucked the truth out of them, I guarantee you they don't think of themselves as risk takers. I think risk is a matter of perception. It's more perception than anything. I never really think I'm taking risks. Now, every now and then I step back and I look at it from the way people look at it, from here, and I think, yeah, I guess I'm a real risk taker. But when I'm doing it, I'm not taking a risk. I'm just doing what I want to do. And I think that's the way risk is. And then I think of sense of urgency. It's a matter of prioritizing what you want to get done. And then do it. And don't fool around with it. Get it all lined up and execute. Now, you've got to walk your own path. You cannot walk the way everybody else goes. You can't do what they do. Yet you're going to find the people you work with, they're going to want you to do it their way. Their way is giving them their results. And if you're getting results like them, that's probably what you're doing. Now, I think if you want to create your own economy, you're going to have to do it your way. And you're really going to have to make it work. These people have a long list of projects that they complete daily. They're goal-achieving prospects. In other words, work that counts. I had a phenomenal mentor, Val Vanderwall. I often feel he's with me at times. He used to say, doing at once what needs to be done will increase the possibility of success. Have you any idea the pressure there is on you to put it off till later? Do you? It's enormous. Do you know why? That's the way the masses operate. So there's a great unseen power trying to get you to put it off till later. If you make up your mind that these are goal-achieving activities, you do it now. You'll usually find it's just a matter of decision and it's done. Well, that's the way these people operate. They're effective because they have this tremendous sense of urgency with respect to matters which need to get done. They're also great risk takers. No one could ever accuse them of playing it safe. They take tremendous risks that may be calculated as risk, but that's the way they operate. The dictionary defines risk to expose oneself to the chance of loss. And make no mistake about it, sometimes risk takers do lose. There's a chance of loss in everything we do. You could step off the curb and break an ankle, so you don't go off a curb. You could get hit by a car going across, so you don't go across the street. You could trip coming down the stairs and break your neck, so you never go downstairs. Have you any idea what kind of life you would live if you took everything with that attitude? You wouldn't do anything. Well, there's some people never do anything. They think the whole deal is to get by. And they honestly believe it's your responsibility to see that they get by. Oh, that's pretty dumb, but that's the way a lot of people live. You've got to be prepared to lay it right in the line. If you're not prepared to take a risk, forget it. You're not going to win. We have people that come in here, they come into the Chairman's Club, they say, yeah, I want to do that. But they don't want to take a risk. When you invest in something, you don't invest to earn money. You invest to see if you can earn money. If you never forget that, you're going to be in good shape. You do not invest in it to earn money. You invest in it to see if you can earn money. Sometimes you don't. You think, well, I found out. You can't. It's like U.S. Anderson in his book, Success Cybernetics. He tells a story about this guy that was digging for oil in Texas. And it come up dry. And he was really upset. And Anderson said, wait a minute. Weren't you drilling there to see if there was oil there? And the guy said, yeah. Well, he said, you found out there wasn't. Why do people get upset when they fail? Do you know that failing is a part of winning? Why wouldn't you take a risk? I'd lay it all on the line. I remember one time years ago, a guy named Al Fisher. In fact, I still have a message from him on my phone for about 2 years. I've got to call him back. I've kept it because I do want to call him back. I was in the office cleaning business, and he may hear this program. They had A and B cleaners. I used to sell them business every now and then. And then one day they said they wanted to work with me. So I said, okay. And we decided I'd buy their business. And they told me what they wanted for it. And they come up with a figure and they said, I'll tell you what, I'll toss you for it. Flip a coin. If I lose, I'll pay you twice as much. If you lose, I get your business for nothing. Well, the two of them sat there and they looked back and forth and they were getting real nervous. And we tossed, and I won. I got their business for nothing. A and B cleaners. If you're not prepared to play the game, you're not going to win. Why do you want to play it safe? There's no compensation in playing it safe. When you take risks, I'm telling you, you get something going inside that you don't get going any other way. Man, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I really don't consider it a risk. It's just something I love doing. Do you ever watch the ones that play it safe? What a dull life they have. They're little thinkers. They're involved in small talk, and they 9 to 5 and 2 weeks in the summer, and got their little mortgage and their little car. And what a crappy way to live. If we had a contract to live forever, maybe the first 100 or 1,000 years like that, it might be worth doing a little research, but we're not going to live forever. Now, you may avoid suffering and sorrow if you don't risk, but you simply cannot learn, feel, change, grow, love, or live. The greatest hazard in life is to risk nothing. The person who risks nothing does nothing and has nothing. Only a person who risks is free. You may say, oh, this is a little nuts. I think you're carrying this too far. I don't think so. In 1959, Earl Nightingale introduced to the world the Strangest Secret record. I have this record in my office. I got up on a bit of a stool the other night and hauled it down. The 50th anniversary. It was a gold album cover. He got a gold record for that from Columbia because it was the first time a talking record, a record outside of the entertainment industry, sold over 1 million copies. Now, I bought one of them. Then I bought hundreds of them. And in my office, you will see that picture autographed to me from Earl. I was working with him when he got it. That's a little while ago. And I've listened to that probably thousands of times. Now, up until then, I never really took risks. I played it safe. I did nothing. I had nothing. I hung out with people that did nothing and had nothing, and life sucked. Believe me. It wasn't fun. I wasn't happy. I hung out with people who weren't happy. We did nothing. We went nowhere. And you know something? A high percent of the population live that way. This record turned my whole life around. Then I decided I wanted to work with this guy. And this is what I picked up from him. You got to work at developing your mind. He quoted Dr. J.B. Rhine. He's the one that got me studying Rhine. Rhine did more research into metaphysics, into the power of the mind, than possibly anybody else. Certainly at his time, he was the foremost authority on the area of the mind. He was at Duke University. He said the mind is the greatest power in all of creation. Now, sometimes I have people come up and say, that's not true. God is the greatest power. I said, wait a minute. God's the creator. This is in creation. There's a difference. Do you know there's nothing that can equal the power of your mind? Ask yourself, what are you doing with it? That's what Earl started to ask me. And I started to think about it, and I was listening to that, and I thought, man, this guy is so powerful. Earl Nightingale and Lloyd Conant, they literally changed my life. Lloyd was a great risk taker, and so was Earl. They laid it all on the line. Man, they were making it happen. They didn't start a company. They started an industry. And I wanted to be a part of it. So Lloyd introduced me to this book. I asked him one time, I said, Lloyd, how did you start this company? Yet he started to tell me the story about studying this book all weekend. All of a sudden I wasn't interested in how he started the company. I wanted the book. Well, that's the book that inspired The Secret. And he gave it to me way back in 1968, and I've never stopped studying it. Because I started to study it, I think I attracted this. I literally attracted it. I mean, I was so in tune with it. When they went to make it, I attracted The Secret because I had been studying it for so long. I love the way Orville Wright put it. He said, isn't it astonishing that all these secrets have been preserved for so many years just so we could discover them? I want you to ask yourself, am I living the way I'm hearing this information? What causes individuals to shy away from taking risks, even if it's a low risk, and will give them something they really want? I think high on people's list would be fear of loss, failure, perceived humiliation if the loss were to occur. That's really big, you know. What would the neighbors think? What would your sister or brother-in-law say? You lost it all? I thought you were smarter than that. Why would we automatically think that we could fail at something? Why wouldn't we first try and see? Doesn't that make sense? Why would we just automatically think we're going to fail at something? Why wouldn't we try and see? Give it everything we've got. And then if we fail, learn from the experience and move on. What causes us to have these thoughts of inferiority? Why would you think you couldn't create your own economy? Don't you know that you can play this game that I play? I just make something out of nothing and then I sell it. We can all do that. I think it dates way back to our little life. And since risk-taking, to my knowledge, is not a subject that's taught in school, it would lead me to believe that a person's fear of taking risks might stem back from before they can even remember. Wouldn't that make sense? When you see a child taking their very first step, yet it wasn't uncommon to hear parents or guardians say, be careful, you might fall. Where'd they get the might jazz from? The kid's going to fall. They're going to whack their head. They're going to bleed. They're going to cry. And they're going to get up and they're going to do it again. This idea you might fall. You're going to fall. Think how much better equipped we would be to face life's challenges and succeed if we had repetitively heard, take a chance, don't worry about failing. You're going to fail, probably quite often. Failing is an important part of learning. I remember I never went to school. I did some research. Nobody in our family ever went to school. You're talking about the blind leading the blind. I started to study this before my kids were born. In our family, we were asked at a certain age, are you going to go to school? And the answer was no. I'm out of here. I don't like this place at all. All I did was change one question. I didn't ask them if they were going to go. I asked them where they were going to go. Yet changed the entire breed. One question can change people's lives. I made a deal with them. As long as they'd go, I'd pay. I had one kid I didn't think he was ever going to quit. My daughter said she wanted to go to Illinois State, and I said, go for it. I said, what are you studying? Dance. I'm thinking, Christ, I could learn dance at the corner. I think that's a great idea to go to Illinois State. I thought, what a great experience for her. And then she graduated. She said, I'm going to go on with a tour. And so off she was, dancing all over Japan. I thought, this is cool, man. I was running around Brazil when I was her age. I thought, what the hell, go to Japan, you know? Not everybody will operate that way. Why don't we? It makes life so much more interesting for people. We've got a lady that works with us, Amzie. I have never met her mother, but I would really like to meet her mother. She seems like a real neat lady. Just the stories I've heard about the way she treats the kids. It's pretty incredible. She wouldn't make decisions for them. She said, no, just go ahead and do it. If you fail, you fail. You know, it's up to you. I thought, man, there isn't enough mothers like that. Do you know when you see a mother mothering the kid is weak, wimpy, no balls, just nothing there. It's true. They've got nothing going for them. You know what the mother wanted to do, or the father? They wanted to protect them. They didn't want them to fail. And so what do? They fail. Failing will never make you a failure unless you quit. You want to burn that into your mind. Failure will never make you a failure unless you quit. Quitting is never an option for me. I just absolutely refuse. Unfortunately, very few people have heard that when they were small. They just didn't hear it. The vast majority of our population have been mentally programmed to play it safe. Go slow. Don't rush. Be thorough. There's lots of time. Well, there isn't lots of time. You don't know how much time you've got. You may think you have a lot of time, and you might only have a little. When I was a kid, my grandmother pretty well raised us. Now, I think Grandma was probably around 60 when I became aware of what was around. So Grandma was always an old lady to me. Now, I've since changed my perception of that, but when I was a kid, that was the deal. Grandma was always saying, I'll soon be gone, dear, I'll soon be gone. Well, it got to a point we never thought she was going to go. Now, we didn't want her to, but she was with us until she was 94. And she went to sleep one night, and the angels just came and took her away. She was in pretty good shape. I had a buddy that I grew up with down the beaches part of Toronto, Bob Yates. When Bob was 16, he was coming in the Kingston Road Highway in an open-panel truck loaded with paint. He hit the abutment of a bridge like that. His life was snuffed out. If you had asked Bob a half hour before how much time he had left, he probably would have said at least 50 years. He didn't have 30 minutes. What's the point? You might be like Grandma and go till you're 94. You might be like Bob and you might only have a half hour. See, we don't know. One thing we do know, we don't have lots of time, but we do have all there is. And so what are you going to do with it? You're going to play it safe? Are you going to listen to this jazz about failing? See, when I was a kid in school, I was involved in track and field. I was in pole vaulting. And I sort of excelled at it. I liked it, although I never got a whole lot of encouragement. And I clearly remember running down the field, lowering the pole into the box, and up we'd go. Now, I knocked that bar flying almost every time I went up in the air. Every now and then I would clear the bar. Do you know what they'd do? They'd raise the darn thing. So what happened then? I would start knocking it flying again. I just got over it, and they raised it. I was left with the feeling that every time I knocked it off the pole, I failed. That's the way I thought until I was 26. Earl Nightingale said, success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. I was progressively realizing a worthy ideal. I wasn't failing when I knocked the bar off because I was trying to clear it. If you keep trying, you're successful. It's when you quit that you're a failure. But nobody told me that. So here I am, knocking the bar flying, feeling bad. And I only cleared it every now and then. Well, if you feel bad every time you miss the mark, you're going to get to the point where you're not going to take many shots at it. You've got to get past that. You know, there's a 4-letter word, can't. That has done more damage than all the 4-letter words that the parents stopped the children from using. It paralyzes their mind from trying to accomplish anything. Now, there's another 4-letter word, I can, that's much more important than IQ. Certainly has been to me. I just believe if I want to do something that I can do it. If you dream of living your life in a really big way, you must accept risk-taking as a very real part of the apprenticeship that you must serve. As I dug into this, I started to see that that was true. I learned from Earl that life is about choices and it's about decisions. You've got to ask yourself, am I living the way I wanted to live? You see, I wanted to go to work with Earl and Lloyd. And in 1968, I went to work with them. Did I have to take a risk? Well, let me tell you what I had to do. I had to walk away from a company that I'd worked at, very hard to build. I had to move my whole family to Chicago from Toronto, and everybody's telling me I'm crazy. If it hadn't worked, I would be there. Nada. Never entered my mind I was taking a risk. I thought, man, this is a phenomenal opportunity. I can work with those two guys. Wow. What a trip. I loved it. Absolutely loved it. Our world is really changing. It's changing at such a rapid clip that most people miss it. Our world isn't getting bigger. Our world is getting smaller. We're only hours away from anywhere in the world right now. We're talking here about creating our own economy. Create your own economy. Well, let's understand that you can have business all over the world. That's what this Chairman's Club is all about. And if you're listening to this, I would suggest you find out about it. Just send an email to amzi@bobproctor.com. It's that simple. We'll give you the information on it. We've got a purpose. I am very high on purpose. I think if you don't have a purpose, you're out there with no direction. When Jerry and I started this, and Tiffany said she wanted to run it, I said, fine. Establish a purpose for it. She knew what we wanted to do. So here's the purpose. And this is a pretty good purpose, I think. to cultivate and maintain a creative, prosperous environment. Yet it's not good enough just to cultivate it. You've got to maintain it. This is where the will comes in. This is where focus comes in. This is where right decisions come in. We want to cultivate and maintain a prosperous environment that will attract like-minded individuals to learn the laws of the mind as they mastermind together to create and develop multiple sources of income in a global marketplace. Now, if you study that purpose for a little while, you're going to realize that's just about as good as you could get it. So when I look at it, I feel indebted to her, and I'm sure a number of people do. And you will as you get a little deeper into this. If you're going to choose your own economy, create your own economy, and you hope to accumulate great wealth or achieve high goals, history records that the first steps have to have a high degree of risk. And of course, you took a big risk. You put your money down and you come to the dance. And you were pretty scared, weren't you, Elizabeth? Terrified you were. And how do you feel now? Do you still feel terrified?
Yes and no.
You went through a terror barrier to get here. Now you're up against another terror barrier. But Elizabeth, you like yourself a little better for doing it, don't you?
Definitely.
You do feel better about you.
Absolutely.
Well, you see, the lesson here is if you go through the terror barrier, the biggest win is that Elizabeth likes Elizabeth better than she did before she went through the terror barrier. It's good, isn't it? You must turn your back on safety and security and move at an accelerating speed. You think, oh my God, does it slow down? Does it get any easier? No, it doesn't, Elizabeth. It doesn't. I know a lot of people wished it would. But to make it big, you must take big risks. Wouldn't it be nice if there was an easier way? Did you ever think of that? But if there was an easier way, everybody'd take it. And everybody's not taking it. You'll very likely have to put yourself in a highly vulnerable position. As Eleanor Roosevelt put it, you gain strength, courage, and confidence by every experience in which you really stop to look fear in the face. I want to suggest that you follow her advice, liberate yourself from the crippling emotion, this emotional state of fear, and enter the world of freedom. You do this with a sense of urgency. The so-called superachievers stand out in a crowd like a brilliant beacon on a dark night. I often say they stand out like a giraffe in a herd of field mice. When you do this, you separate yourself from the masses. You really do. These superachievers earn a large share of the world's rewards. Now here's a couple of questions you should ask yourself. What makes these people so great? I used to ask that about Earl. See, I used to sit and look at him and I'd think, man, wow, holy crow. I'd see the things he'd do, and I'd never see him hurrying anywhere. But he would get so much done. And while he was doing something, he had all kinds of other things happening in other places. I thought, I want to be like that. That's what I want to do. What makes these people great? Can I develop their great qualities? The answer is yes, you certainly can. And there's many very positive characteristics which are habitual in the personalities of these men and women, and one of them they share in common is that they have a sense of urgency. People with a sense of urgency very rarely rush, are seldom in a panic. Hurry, rush, panic are mental states that individuals who do not have a sense of urgency experience whenever they have a lot to do. Now listen to this very carefully. Hurry, rush, and panic are mental states that individuals who do not have a sense of urgency experience whenever they have a lot to do. they also cause confusion wherever they go. Yet individuals with a sense of urgency always have a lot to do. They know they're going to get it done, and they complete their projects in a very calm, confident manner because they're professionals. They just steamroll right, and they get it done. They're never knocked off course. Your Create Your Own Economy program is designed to assist you in developing an awareness. Where did we start out with the formula, the 3 C's? Conscious awareness. That's what this program is for. It's designed to assist you in developing an awareness of the great value in risk-taking and having a sense of urgency. You want to realize that your sense of urgency will always be in direct ratio to your commitment to results insofar as any particular project is concerned. Get the damn thing done, get it done now. Set it up, knock it over. Develop a sense of urgency into becoming a habit. Now, you're going to drive some people nuts, especially if they don't have a sense of urgency. They'll think, why do we have to do it now? Because I said. Well, that's the attitude you want to have. Developing a sense of urgency into becoming a habit is a project in itself. The length of time it will take you to form this habit is going to be predicated on your degree of commitment to your goal. How committed are you to the goal? See, if you're just interested in this, you'll do it if it's convenient. If you're committed, you're going to do it regardless. Now, just before I bring up Ms. Gallagher, let me share a poem that I love. It's written by Douglas Mullock. He said, there may be nothing wrong with you the way you live the work you do, but I can very plainly see exactly what's wrong with me. It isn't that I'm indolent or dodging duty by intent. I work as hard as anyone. And yet, I get so little done. The morning goes and the noon is here, and before I know it, the night is near. And all around me, I regret, are things I haven't finished yet. If I could just get organized. I often realize that not all that matters is that man must also have a plan. Now, with you, there may be nothing wrong. But here's my problem right along. I do things that don't amount to very much of no account, that really seem important, though, and I let a lot of other matters go. I nibble this and I nibble that, but I never finish what I'm at. I work as hard as anyone, and yet I get so little done. Do you know, I do so much, you'd be surprised if I could just get organized. You want to develop a sense of urgency. Give it high priority. Turn it into a habit. And meet risk head on. Face the thing you fear, and fear will leave you. Someone once said, fear knocked on the door, faith opened it, and lo, there was no one there. Now let's bring up Ms. Gallagher.
Okay, let's review this session of Create Your Own Economy. Now, we just learned the recipe for the super successful, and there are 6 key ingredients in this recipe. The first one is that you have to have a sense of urgency, meaning that you get a lot done in a little bit of time, and you get things done that count. But while you're doing this, you do it in a calm and confident manner. Second is they are risk takers. They go right out on the edge. And they don't really see themselves as risk takers because they look at failure differently. They look at it as a learning tool. They believe that they don't fail unless they quit. Third is they seize the minute. They do everything they can that needs to be done at that moment. Fourth, they're so locked into their idea that there is no way that risk is going to stop them because they have a deep understanding of themselves. Fifth, they think. They use their mind to get the results they want. And they understand the idea of squaring themselves. and multiplying their results with less effort, not more. And finally, they're free. They're free, they think independently, and they act independently. So let's do some exercises and start applying these principles. I want you to close your eyes and just take a deep breath and just totally relax. Just totally relax and see yourself as a powerful risk taker with a tremendous sense of urgency. You now accomplish in a week what previously took you a month, which is how the big income earners create their own economy. Hold on to that feeling and open your eyes and write out a compelling affirmation that describes you as a great risk taker with a tremendous sense of urgency. The next exercise, and this is a really, really important one, get the book As a Man Thinketh by James Allen if you don't already have it. And the last chapter is on serenity. It's a real short chapter, but write it out every day and read it every day for 30 days. And you will be locked into acting in a calm and confident manner. And then finally, make a commitment to yourself that you will do everything that needs to be done, all the time, no exception. So take time and do these exercises. And we hope you've enjoyed this session of Create Your Own Economy. And next session, we've got a great lesson on multiple sources of income. And just open your mind to the idea that you might just learn that one thing that is going to get you the quantum results that you want. Thank you.